Midlife is not a crisis. It's a moment a woman stops agreeing to a life that no longer fits her. It's the season when competence starts to feel heavy, when success isn't enough, when what once worked stops working, not because you have failed, but because you've been invited deeper into something that is a huge shift. And this quiet authority transfer that happens in midlife and at different times for every woman, and why so many women are mislabeling it as dysfunction, and why we even travel to the train we choose, the spaces we place ourselves in, either distract us from this shift or anchor us inside it. If you are new here, I'm Darcy. I curate and create initiatory voyages for women in midlife, not vacations or escapes, not even retreats, because retreats have a little bit of this connotation that I am going to fix you and I am going to change you. But these are voyages. Yes, I've led retreats, but now I lead voyages. These are experiences designed around the terrain, around the rhythm and the descent for women who are done performing and ready to return to themselves. I know this sounds a little bit cliche right now, but stay here for a moment. Because everything I share here, whether it's about travel, terrain, or midlife, maybe this is the moment that happens. Life just doesn't feel true anymore. There's something vital inside of you that is waking up. You're still very competent. You're still very capable. And you could still perform the roles that you have been playing, consciously or unconsciously. But you know there's more. You know something has shifted. And sometimes it may feel even dramatic. It may feel really intense. But many times this is happening very quietly underneath the surface. Because I think midlife is asking you to rise higher. And I'm ready and I'm willing and I'm here to defy the society's rules around aging, particularly in this country. We're going to go deeper, and I invite you in. So most of us have been trained for the ascent, to achieve, to accumulate, to prove, to optimize. We learn how to be impressive, how to be needed, how to be dependable. We become excellent at being useful, at multitasking. And somewhere inside all of that excellence, we stopped asking what we actually wanted. And then one day, what once worked stops working. The strategies, the roles, maybe even the way you earned love, which is a whole nother podcast. Maybe the way you earned safety, the way you earned admiration starts to feel empty and heavy. And you simply don't want to climb that ladder anymore. You're ready to descend. And descend is not the same as withdraw. And it certainly is not failure. You are ready to descend into your own truth. And that's why I think midlife is about ascending. It's not that life is over. Yes, there are a lot of changes, and we can see them right in front of us, right? There are physical changes going on in us. And at first, we want to hide behind it. We want to mask all those changes. We want Botox, or we want medication, or we just take measures to sort of hide the changes. And yes, we color our hair, and yes, I do have gray, and yes, I'm still coloring my hair. But this is the year that I am going to slowly allow myself to slip into having gray hair. Okay, I can't believe I just admitted this truth to all of you. Now I have to do it, right? I get it. It is, I guess for me, it is, I just didn't realize I would ever get to this stage. I intellectually knew it, but there was this emotional shift that I just didn't realize I would have. And I love the wisdom of older women. I love being around them and their sovereignship and their clarity. So this is a time of returning to instinct, returning back to your body, honoring it, nurturing it, loving it. It got you this far. Don't run from it. Yes, it's going to change. It's supposed to change. And what if instead of beating it up or thinking that you're still 20 or 30, even 40, you actually just accepted the changes? And that doesn't mean that you stop taking care of yourself. It means that you start taking care of yourself very differently. You recognize the changes, you honor them, and you live into them. And here's what no one talks about. Like, we can all see that happening, but underlying all of that is the guilt of not wanting to be seen as older. Even, let's go deeper, not wanting the stimulation anymore. But we mask that, right? We mask it physically, and we mask it emotionally and spiritually. And even not wanting the guilt of not wanting our bucket list. And I say that with even a little bit of hesitation. And here's why. Because within me, I'm not sure I feel it as a bucket list anymore, but I do feel this craving, maybe, or this like life in me that I cannot deny, that I need or want to live into. And it is changing my relationships. It is changing my business. It is changing how I show up unapologetically. Like, I crave silence. I crave solitude. And sometimes I find myself saying that I should still want Rome, still want this big itinerary, still want to conquer something. But it isn't that. It isn't that I want to conquer anything. I just want to slip into it and live it and be it and show up as it. And yeah, that is a little bit of a journey, right? It is a little bit of letting go of your past self. So there is definitely an identity death happening. And it doesn't just happen at 50. It doesn't happen at 55. It happens again at 60. And who knows what happens after that? But I'm here for it. And I think this is authority coming home. I think this is me stepping into my sovereignship and stepping out of martyrdom. And I really believe this is why terrain, land, landscape matters. Because the land understands you It understands this descent and it is ready to hold you. So I'm going to get just a little bit elemental here because this is what is waking up in me. And I think at some level, this wakes up in a lot of women. Maybe they can't quite put their finger or their thumb on this pulse yet, but stay with me because I wonder if you're going to feel this. Let's talk a little bit about the desert. Now, I haven't spent a ton of time in the desert, but there is something vast and expansive, and it sort of applauds you in a way, and it strips you down, and it asks, I wrote this down, what survives when everything ornamental burns away? What survives when, yes, my hair goes gray? What survives when, yes, I put on a little bit of weight? My body, my physical body changes in midlife. What survives when I don't want the kinds of things I used to want, be it physical, emotional, spiritual? What happens when those things burn away? Who are you? Okay, we're staying on this theme of the elements because, well, you'll hear soon, so stay with me. I really want to share with you why I am speaking about this in elemental terms. So let's talk about the sea, which is the ocean and water, which I have spent a lot more time in and near. And here's what came up when I thought about that. First of all, I don't think it really rewards you, but it definitely humbles you for sure. And I think one of the things it has taught me is flow and to stop moving against force. That was quite awakening for me. I'm going to leave that at that. Let's talk about the forest. Again, this is a place that I too have spent a lot of time in. In fact, I sort of see myself as a forest girl. Like, I love being in the trees. I love being in the mountains. I love hiking. But here's the thing, the forest is deeper. It has this essence that doesn't really spotlight you, but it sort of draws you in and absorbs you and holds you. It reminds you that growth happens underground first. And you know, this analogy came from my 25 years of teaching yoga and teaching people balance poses. Because what I noticed is the struggle to balance was all sort of this external grasping going on. And I would explain it, this is just one of the metaphors I would use. For example, the tree pose in yoga can be very difficult for someone to stand on one leg, bring the other leg up at some level along the inside of the standing leg, and to hold that pose and breathe all at the same time. And then add arm movement to it, or arms above the head, or something that would distract you. And here's the thing, I would see the struggle happen in the physical body, but what I would teach is this analogy that trees are supported by the depth of their roots or the expansion of their roots. And if they don't grow those first, they don't grow up and out because the winds will tip them over. And that's the perfect analogy for the forest. When a woman places herself or is welcomed into a terrain that mirrors her internal season, something aligns, something wakes up, something relaxes, and she stops fighting the shift. She stops trying to say who she was. She allows the shedding, the softening, the reclaiming, and she doesn't return home reinvented. She returns home sort of reorganized, with quieter, clearer, recalibrated. And this is the biggest one. This has been my most awakened moment. You are less available for what diminishes you and more devoted to what steadies you. And that is shape-shifting. And I love it because you're not turning into someone new. Most people are going to see you as you are, right? But there's something inside going on that's really big. And this is, I think, why we call it a crisis. And the crisis can be the crisis if you take the path of not allowing that shape-shifting to happen and you continue down the path of fighting it and thinking that you're still 30 or you're still 40 and you're just not quite ready to welcome in this next phase in your life. And I get it. It is a big one. It is an initiation, dare I say, like no other. It is not like going from teenage years into your adult years. Although that one can be, it can be a little challenging for some people. It is not like getting married. It is not like having children. Although that teaches you something as well, right? But all of that prepared you for what is next. And instead of mourning the loss of that, I invite you to welcome the wisdom, honor it, trust it. So midlife creates this sort of intactness, not crisis. It's this moment that you stop outsourcing your authority. And I'm going through that transition right now. And damn, that can feel vulnerable. That can feel even a little bit isolating. But the moment you realize that you don't need to be impressive, you need to be true to who you really are, who you can feel yourself becoming. And when that shift begins, just ride the wave. Let it happen. And here's where I'm going to shift this conversation a little bit into travel, because that is the direction that my business is going, not from coaching. Well, it is going from coaching. It is going from retreats to how travel holds us and impacts us. In the travel, the voyages that I am creating changes our conversations, our tolerance, our pace. We even feel like we need to say less because it means more. We stop explaining ourselves and we begin to design our life differently. And that is so what is happening within me. Not louder, clearer, steadier, grounded. So that is the direction that I am going. That is the direction I invite you into. If something in this felt like it is speaking directly to you, I write and record private transmissions for women in this season. They're intentional. They're depth over noise. I think we're done with that. We want less of that. We want less information on how to. We want to be, well, let me back up. We have enough information. We actually have wisdom. insight, instinct, intuition that we can trust. We don't need outside authority telling us that we've got it all wrong. We just need to hear that call. So this is where I gather women who recognize themselves in this journey. And if you would like to join in to these conversations, you can enter the journey below. There's no pressure, just proximity. Because I can guarantee that you are not alone in this shift. You are not dramatic. You are not wrong for wanting more depth. And I say that from personal experience. I am not apologizing for wanting to know who I am at a deeper level. You are not ungrateful for craving something quieter, less noise, less information, less fear, right? You invite that in by what you take in the world. You're in a different season of your life. And I think when women realize that they're not in this alone, and when you stop questioning yourself, this is the authority transfer. The transfer goes from out to in. And women who feel that don't need convincing. They recognize it within themselves and they're ready. Mwah. Have a beautiful rest of your day.